everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today is March 2nd, 2020, and we are sort of cleaning up the end of February, as predicted this week. No new kit announcements as of the moment. We do have a couple of things that I sort of wanted to, not so much address, but sort of pass along in case you hadn't heard. And there are a couple of cancellations of rather large events that are sort of relating back to the current coronavirus issues. Uh, Neither one of them are things where I would consider to be like, oh, see, it's bad. Oh, as much as they are, when you stop, take a sort of a breath and sort of think about where it's at and what's going on in those places, and the circumstances involving the events, it really doesn't come as a huge surprise. So the one that affects our European viewers the most probably would be the fact that on the road at, is it Jebeke or Jakebe? I can never figure out how the world you're supposed to pronounce that. I don't speak Flemish, but it's a huge model show in Europe that's held in Belgium. It was supposed to be taking place, I believe, next weekend, and the show has been canceled for this year. That seems like a sort of oh no kind of situation, but really it is a show that is traveled to from across Europe. Certain places in Europe, specifically northern Italy, are currently a little under the weather, and you could sort of understand with that being a show that sort of draws internationally in terms of at least within the EU. That okay, that makes sense to not put a whole bunch of people in a bunch of countries that sick people are in into the same building like that. I can totally understand where they're coming from, especially with it being so close to happening that things are currently changing all the time, every day kind of thing. That made sense. Sad to see. It's probably one of the, again, biggest shows in Europe outside of maybe Telford in the UK. The other event that is canceled is the Shizuoka Hobby Show, which was going to be held the second weekend of May. That, with it being a little further out, does seem like is that like an overreaction or not? But then you have to sort of consider the fact that beyond that just being like a model show, it's a huge modeling expo is the only word that pops into my head because the real word I wanted to use left. But it's a a show with vendors and stuff like that, right? So where do a lot of the vendors who are going to be coming to Shizuoka Hobby Show currently reside? Well, in China, and of course, Japan is dealing with its own issues with the coronavirus as well. I personally would not be totally shocked if they actually canceled the Olympics just out of an abundance of caution. But everything I read about the Olympics are people going, "Oh no, we're going to force you to get sick." But by the time the Olympics actually do roll around in the summer, things may have, at least within Japan itself, sort of slowed down and become contained. But with all the vendors that are going to be there, it's not just like a car modeling show; it's a all modeling show plus other hobbies. So, when you start dealing with a lot of the military and IPMS stuff, that's all Chinese companies, all Chinese vendors. It's a show that people are going to be traveling from internationally. As far as vendors from Europe, vendors from the United States, vendors from across Asia. So when you look at it in that perspective, and the fact that it's a huge event put on in a huge convention center, the logistics of that, you can't cancel that 2 weeks before it's going to happen because people will have sent their displays and their models and their all their tables and chairs and booths and stuff like that over there, and then they can't use them. So it made sense to cancel that far in advance because you can then, of course, cancel all your travel and shipping plans, well in advance. So while it's kind of, again, sad to see that show not taking place, you can sort of understand why it is not taking place. We will be ourselves risking the coronavirus this weekend because this weekend on March 7th will be the Buckeye Scale Auto Club's Buckeye Classic in Columbus. Usually it's around the St. Patrick's Day weekend, but there was some wacky overbooking of the county fairgrounds on that weekend, so they had to move it up 2 weeks to this weekend. So we'll be out there this weekend. We'll have the Z4 out because I realized that it actually had not been to that show as of yet. I built it right after that show. And so we'll have the Z4 out. We'll be there. So if you see me, me, because it's just me talking about myself in the third person when I say us, see me out there, say hi. Chances are, I know most of you that are going to be there anyway. So, anyway. And that takes us to kit releases this week. So we have one domestic release. It is the one sort of March kit from round 2. There's also a display case with a Coca-Cola background in it that I'm not going to really talk about beyond saying that there's a Coca-Cola background display case. Of course there is. So that's out. The other domestic kit that is out from round 2 this week is this. It is the reissue of the 66 Chevy. Looks like it's a dirt track modified in this, but of course, the weird thing about the modified things is it's got slicks, and it's clearly on a dirt track. And I'm thinking that's not a good combination for trying to actually get around that dirt track, especially considering how wet and muddy the dirt track looks there. It's been the way the modifieds with AMT and MPC have always worked, where the MPC kits are asphalt modified with treads, and the AMT ones are dirt modifieds with slicks. But anyway, there's a new screen for the windshield, which I think is probably just a piece of screen that they're including with these kits because the 65 had it. So it's probably not really cut to fit the 66 much as it is like, hey, look, a piece of wire mesh that we've always had in the box art, but we've never actually included in the kit. Pad printed tires, everything else in here is going to be the same hogged out, modified version of their old 66 Impala kit. So you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. I think the last time it was out was 2004 or so in a Model King reissue. So that's back out if you're interested in it. And then going over to Japan, we have several releases this week from Aoshima. As predicted, they're catching up at the end of their month over there. So some stuff that is just straight reissues. You have this. It is the reissue of the Toyota Mark II Chaser kit. I still say this looks like a Ford Mustang II. Or not a Ford Mustang, but just a Ford II, but a Ford Mustang from like 1975 or so. 2 bodies, can only build 1 kit, and it's an old motorized tool, been out for a while, just a reissue. Another reissue would be this from the 2 model car line. It is the Toyota Hilux Custom, so just a straight reissue there. Another reissue would be this, the 1998 Toyota Chaser in the model car line. This is model car number 16, so this one's really been around for about 2 years now. So just a restock on that. And then last on the restocks specifically is this. It is the Liberty Walk, Liberty Works R35 version 2, Type 2. It is the Advan liveried version of the R35 Liberty Walk kit, so that's back out again. And then we have 2 releases into the new model car supercar lineup here. So first up, this kit was supposed to be out in December. It's finally out now. It is the number 1 kit in the new supercar lineup, and it is the 74 Lamborghini Countach LP 400. I still say this is the best Lamborghini Countach out there if you are not trying to specifically create a US spec Countach, because then the monogram kit's really your only bet. It's the only Countach that has the 5-mile-an-hour bumpers. All the rest of them are sort of European spec. This is a great early Countach. I really like this kit. I have one. I painted like the brakes and stuff on that one time when I was driving the truck, and I really have never got a chance to get back to it, or I've had a chance. I've just been lazy and haven't. The other thing that's been released with that, or in conjunction with that, because it's not with it, but is this. It is the photo etch set for the Lamborghini Countach. I think that they've added a turn metal exhaust to this. I don't remember that being in the one I have, although I haven't probably seen my photo etch for the Countach in like 3 years, so it's in these bins of drawers behind the camera here. But that is back out. I think it's a very nice complementary piece to the excuse me, to the actual kit itself. It has a lot of vents and stuff like that. And then the other car in the supercar lineup is this, a reissue of the Lamborghini Aventador Roadster. So that is back out there. as kit number 8 in the new lineup. There is a Fenador photo etch set that exists, but it is specifically designed for the coupe. The Roadster has different sized doors, has different sized interior pieces. I think the vent pieces may or may not fit perfectly because they're designed to go with the coupe rather than this Roadster. So keep that in mind if you see them selling it sort of as a generic set. It may not necessarily fit this. Hobby Design, however, does have a very nice complete and total whiz-bang set for this that runs about $25-$30. So if you really want to go the extra mile, that is available for you. And then lastly in this video is the kit that a lot of people were waiting on, especially if you had pre-orders from this from last spring, because this was supposed to be a July kit back in the day. Now if you watched our other channel, you know I already have one of these because I picked it up through Hong Kong because they got theirs out like 3 weeks ago. But finally we got the Japanese and what will be worldwide distribution of the Audi R8 LMS GT3 kit. So this has 2 sets. Well, it has 1 set of decals. It has 2 cars. It is the number 2 in the foreground and the number 1 that's sort of hanging out there in the background. These are 24 Hours of Spa 2015 liveries. The silver car finished 2nd, and the first number 1 car ended up finishing like 31st or something like that. It had some issues during the race. It looks like a great kit. It certainly looks a lot better. And from talking to people who like me got theirs 3 weeks ago, who are building this up, this is building up a lot better than the M6 did, especially the first M6. The M6 has been tweaked along the way, and I've heard that the Macau version actually has resolved several of the fit issues that were in the original Spa release, as far as the getting the rear air intakes to fit with the chassis and things like that. This does not seem to be having any build problems, at least not that I have heard of, and I'm constantly in I say daily contact. It's like it's like, hey, look, there's some cool thing coming out, and I talk to somebody like, hey, by the way, how's that Audi kit coming? But everybody who's building one of these right now has been so far not complaining about any sorts of fit issues, any sorts of build issues. So that's a fantastic step in the right direction, considering the fact that you have other modern kits like this coming, like the 911 GT3 and the 911 FIA the FIA WEC wide body Le Mans style kit, and then you have the M8 GT3 or GTE coming. So having their modern kits that they're actually doing themselves and are not just reissues of BMAX kits under the new label after the the dissolution, if you will, of the Aoshima distribution deal, is fantastic to see. You always want to see them, even if it's just slight steps. You want to see a new company, even though New and BMAX are owned by the same corporation, that a new company is getting the next thing better, so on and so forth. So that's out there, and that's fantastic. Something a lot of us GT3 guys are waiting on for quite a while. And the other thing that's available for it, doesn't come with, but is available, is this. It is a detail upset for that R8. This comes with your air jack, your metal antenna, some seatbelt material, a fret of photo etch, as you can clearly see there, which is the only way, by the way, to get the window nets, or the driver safety nets that go beside the, on each side of the driver from the roll cage to the dashboard. And it's the only way to get tow hooks as far as that goes. And the tow hooks on these are really tow straps, so it's not necessarily quite as obvious, because really the tow straps on these cars are designed to sort of tuck up underneath a little panel that you lift out to actually expose it. So some races you see them out, some races you don't see them out, or you just see a little tongue of them sticking out from underneath the flap. So it's not nearly as visibly missing as it is if you don't get an M6 detail upset. I mean, there are other ways to acquire window netting material. Oh crap, the company out of Japan was right there, and then it left me. It's New Scratch. New Scratch offers those. And unlike the M6, where you had to buy the detail upset to get the front little canard wings that go on the front bumper, those are plastic in the Audi, so that's another huge thumbs up for New for figuring out that was a bad sort of plan, because if you build an M6 and you want to put the little canards on, you have to buy the photo etch set specifically for that, if nothing else, because they just don't exist in the kit itself. I believe that there are photo etch canards on this if you want to use those instead, but you don't have to have them, again, like you had to the first time. And the big thing about this is the fact that it comes with 3 sheets of carbon fiber that are all the right color this time. People who got the, again, original detail episode for the M6 will remember the carbon fiber was a weird silver color that really didn't exist in real life. So this is the right color. It covers pretty much the entire chassis. There are a couple of interior pieces because the dashboards on these R8s are completely carbon fiber, so having that is, a thing to make it visually correct, because you can certainly see the dashboard through the windshield. A lot of these carbon fiber sets, you can argue that do you really need to use them, because it's like a Group C car or a GT3 car with tiny windows. You'll never see half the carbon fiber that you put onto it, but this, being that the R8's dashboard is rather large and prominent through the front windshield, having that piece of carbon fiber there is kind of nice. Diego's carbon fiber for the R8 is also out now, if you want to pick that up. It includes a few pieces that are not in this sheet, so if you really wanted to sort of go like I said, the little extra mile, that's an option. I don't necessarily know that you need one over the other, because, again, Diego's pieces are sort of complementary to this, in the sense that there's some engine carbon fiber that doesn't come in this. There's some other interior pieces that don't come in this. But this includes the chassis a lot of the chassis carbon fiber that his doesn't. So it really depends on, like I said, how much extraneous detail you want to go into. There's Race Labs is going to have a PE set for this as well. So I mean, you want to combine those two things together rather than buying this. It's up to you on what you do. I have no definitive recommendations on that necessarily one way or the other, because I don't have the other PE set, and I don't think that the other PE set is any better than this one, other than the fact that it includes window masks. And I know a lot of people don't really particularly care for the whole decals that go on the inside of the windshield thing that B-Max and Nunu do, so there's that as well. So anyway, guys, that wraps it up. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.